Welcome back. Next guests are Joanna and Sophie from Ingamo Homes, celebrating 35 years with an open house coming up in June. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having us.
35 years in the community. Wow, I only just learned myself what Ingamo does. So for those who don't know, can you tell us about the services?
Absolutely. So we've been around for 35 years, which is quite a long time. We were actually one of the second transitional housing organizations open in all of Ontario back in 1989, which is also pretty cool that it was centralized in Woodstock specifically. What we do is we provide transitional housing supports to women and their children who've experienced any form of gender-based violence. So when I say gender-based violence, I'm referring to things like intimate partner violence, sexual exploitation, sexual violence, etc. So we have 22 units, they're townhouse-style units, where folks can stay with us upwards of 2 years and receive numerous amounts of programming. So anything from psychoeducational groups around things like boundaries and healthy relationships to life skills support. Oftentimes this is their first time living on their own. So how do you change a light bulb? How do you do those, basic home maintenance things, as well as supports for children as well. Because as you can imagine, those who have left those relationships, it's really challenging to sort of rebuild a little bit when you are navigating all those pieces.
And how do people access these services?
Yeah, so we have an online application form. So we do offer both in-house as well as outreach support. So those who maybe already have their own home or are thinking about leaving, we can support them in that way as well. But typically, they would just fill out an online application and then we kind of go from there.
What if someone just wants to talk about what's going on? Like, can they call?
Absolutely. Typically, folks would oftentimes be referred to DOSO, which is the Domestic Abuse Services Oxford Women's Emergency Shelter, because they are open 24/7. We are not. But if they're just looking for just supports, just to chat with somebody, they can give us a call, or again, they can fill out that form and we can give them a shout back and then sort of figure out what kind of supports they're looking for.
And what sort of demand is there for these services?
Pretty high. Last year, so our last fiscal year, which ended March 31st of this year, we had about 63 women on our wait list. And the wait time to get into housing specifically, not so much outreach services, is upwards of a year.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And where do you get funding for this? You're a nonprofit, right?
Yeah, so we do get funding from Oxford County as well as MCCSS, which is the Ministry of Children's Community Social Services. The rest we are sort of forced to fundraise. So Ingamo specifically is forced to fundraise upwards of $150,000 every year just to keep our programming intact. That's not to expand services.
And what if someone wants to donate some money?
Yeah, we're always looking for donors. I think Sophie can speak a little bit more to that. I'll let her take that.
Yes, yeah, of course. So I'm the fundraising coordinator at Ingamo Homes. So we are definitely always looking for community members and anyone who kind of wants to partner with us or ally with us to help us continue keeping going, but also hopefully expanding as well to meet that high demand. So one thing that we wanted to do is create more awareness about what we do in the community and do more outreach. And so that kind of leads us to the open house that we're hosting. So on Thursday, June 20th from 12 to 2:30, we are actually going to be opening the doors and allowing people in to see what we do and kind of get a sense for the complicated system that we offer. A lot of people don't really have a understanding of what we do, and so we want to build that bridge and connect the dots for everyone.
And also to sort of highlight the challenges of those who are using our services face in navigating all the various systems, especially if they are unemployed or if they're on a leave or a plethora of things. And so this open house really will offer them that opportunity to sort of experience what some of our residents are experiencing.
And so how did this all start 35 years ago?
Well, it's a great question. I don't know if I can fully answer that, but I'll try my best. There was a need. So as some folks may remember, back in 1989, in December, there was a shooting that happened at École Polytechnique, which was out in Montreal, and that really highlighted what is happening, what's happening in our communities. There's clearly a gender-based violence happening. There's a disparity. How can we support folks? And so we saw sort of an uprise in those moments. I know that DASO opened in 1974, which is very unique because really we were talking about it, but we weren't really talking about it, if that makes sense. So back in, again, the late 80s into early 90s, it sort of became more of a conversation. And so the uniqueness of Ingamo Homes is because we kind of started right before that really happened. So as a province, we recognize that this is happening and we need people to transition to find housing in the interim as they try to get permanent housing. And that's sort of where Ingamo's inception came from, was, okay, there is a need, we recognize the need. We want to be able to support folks navigating that.
Gotcha. Okay, so open house, June 20th, 12 to 2:30 p.m. Where is it?
432 Springbank Avenue, just at Ingamo Homes. And we're gonna have some food, a little bit of snacks and drinks to have, and we're really focusing on our Navigate the System tour. So that's kind of the idea of bringing people to the organization and having them experience or kind of get a sense of what the women and children go through when they come to us and how that system works. So hopefully they'll leave feeling both inspired by the stories and the kind of ideas that we'll be sharing, but also connected to these people in our community and what they have to go through.
Okay. Great. Okay, well, thanks for coming on the show today. We appreciate the work that you do in our community.
Thanks so much.
We'll be right back.